Hey guys, this is Matt Perez, and I'm going to show you guys one way that you can animate the removal of material in SolidWorks. So I have an assembly here. All three parts were drawn in the assembly, so they're all in context parts. So you can see they're saved within the context of the assembly. So I drew the rod, which we want to remove material from. I have the bit here, and then I have a part that's going to be used to remove the material. So you can see that it's actually a hollow shaft there. So the shaft is open and the inside matches the diameter of the tool that we want to use. And I have everything mated together. This piece is actually fixed in space. This rod can move from basically a little bit away from the face of that part all the way to the end of it, and then that's where it stops. And this part can freely rotate about. And that was all done by using a layout sketch. So I created a layout sketch that gave me the location of the rod and then the center of my tool. And I used that to help draw the rest of the parts. So we're just going to hide the layout. And I'm going to show you one way that you can approach this. Now there are a few ways. Some ways are easier or better than others. You can use inside the assembly, you can use assembly features, you can do a cut. And with the extrude cut, you can simply animate that cut and allow this rod to move. The problem with that, and the problem with some of the other methods, is once these parts move away from each other, you get errors in your feature tree. And a lot of times when you're trying to do an animation, those errors can pop up and they can actually halt the thing, and you have to go back and rebuild it and move things to the point where they want to go. So this cutaway part is actually going to be a dummy part. We're not using the actual part, but what I want to do is edit my rod feature, and inside here I'm going to go to my surface menu and I'm going to create an offset surface with a 0 amount. So that is basically allowing me to copy a surface. What I'm going to do is grab the outside, the inside, and the end faces of the part that I want to use to remove the material from. So you'll notice if I expand my feature tree, I now have a single surface body and I have a single solid body. With my surface body, what I want to do now, since it's a completely enclosed volume, is use thicken, and I want to create a solid from the enclosed volume. And we're not going to merge the results. We don't want to combine it with anything else yet. So we say OK, and for now I'm going to hop out of this and I'm going to hide my cutaway part. I don't need it anymore, but I need to have it in the model because I used it for that offset surface. So now I'm going to go back in. I'm simply going to drag this part around and rebuild it. So you'll notice that as I drag this part around, the offset surface is moving, but whenever it gets rebuilt, it snaps back over to this geometry because it is an offset of that cutaway part. So if I go back and I edit this part, what I want to do now is use my combine feature, and I'm going to use subtract. The main body is the rod that I want to remove material from, and the bodies to combine is going to be this offset surface that we knitted together. So you can see now that it's removing the material. If we hop out of that part, we drag this along, every time we update this, you can see it's removing material. The important thing here is that as we drag it away from the part and we update, we don't get any errors. So we drag it into the part, rebuild it, and it works fine. We drag it away, and we don't have any errors here. So now that we have that done, I'm going to do a quick save and go into a motion study. So inside here, we're just going to do a simple animation. We are going to drag our timeline to 4 seconds. We're going to create a key point out at 4 seconds. And we want to apply a motor to our tool. So we're going to be applying a motor that's going to run constant RPM. It can be whatever you want. I'm going to run it at 500 just so we can see the motion. And then the next thing we want to do is move this body all the way to the end. So we can do that a few ways. We can add a force or simply create a key point out in time by expanding this and simply moving it. So I'll drag this key point all the way out to the 4 second mark where we're going. And I want to right click, and we can edit the key point time, we can replace it, we can do a few other things here. But the important thing is that our timeline's at 4, and we simply drag the part to the end. So you see, once we move it into place, and it's limited by these the assembly mates I created, so I know it's stopping at the right point, you can see that it's created that. So if we calculate it, we're going to run it. You can see that as the tool moves, it's removing that material for us. We didn't get any errors. We can simply drag it back and forth. We can go back to any point in time and see that it's removing that material. So it's a quick and easy way that you can do that. Now you do have to have that third dummy part in there, and because you can't grab that part from the combined when you're editing a single part, you can't grab it and bring it in. You have to use that offset surface, that zero offset surface, and kind of cheat a little bit to get that geometry in there. But hopefully that helps you guys out and gives you another tool that you can use when you're creating these animations.